Just, I don't know. It's one unit. It is quite good for the, like, if you're commentating, and it's the same way they've got that one that they hold on their face and hold on their lip. Yeah.
Oh, like at the cricket
and rugby and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it means that you can't, like, if you know, you can't run away from your microphone.
But COVID would have put
you
into
don't
that.
share that.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you guys are crazy, and it's awesome to follow craziness.
I'm probably not. I probably haven't been as crazy as Simon the last year, but yeah.
How good was it knowing that Reado had done it, Simon?
I think we got technical issues already, mate.
Already?
Yeah.
What do you got wrong? Can't hear yourself.
Just went a bit quiet, but there you go. Now it's
Probably, yeah.
Stop playing with it.
Don't want to get tangled.
that's a bit better.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Now we're good.
was Reado how you decided that I'm going to race this, or?
Yeah, I guess so. It was a pretty unknown race to, well, a lot of people. Even though it's been going since 1983, which I only found out a couple of weeks ago.
Was that like in the, what'd you say, whole day debrief meeting? Like, welcome to the Ultraman. It's been around. You're like, oh, shit. Was it kind of like that?
Yeah, it's pretty much a 5-day event, really, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
you've got your full briefing and Reado day, 3 days of racing, and then a day of prize giving,
which
speeches. So every athlete does a speech at the prize giving.
And what have they got capacity for? 50 people.
Yeah, we had 43.
did they give you the 3-minute warning?
Yeah, there was some. Yep. The old alarm went off.
Oh, did it? Because the
Few
first
people.
year I did it, one guy was up there for about 20 minutes. And everyone's just like, oh, come on. You know, like, and the day just, it didn't drag on, but it was, yeah.
Yep.
Especially when you're tired and sore.
I was about to say, the people are pretty fragile.
Yeah, you know, and you know, people getting hangry and wanting a couple of beers and all that sort of thing. And it is, as Simon said, 5 days of, not only racing for the 3, but the day before and after, it's full on.
Yeah. But this year at the prize giving, because we broke the record, Tony said open bar, so all the beers are on.
Oh,
on
nice.
him.
Yeah.
So do you think that sort of boosts his event? That's the one we can do a good time.
Yeah, a lot of people will think that. They can go and have a go.
Yeah, it's not an easy course.
You said hilly.
Yeah,
Stop lights.
I mean, you wouldn't call it super hilly, but it's an honest course. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the other ones around the world are like.
Is one of the ones in the States is dead flat, isn't it?
Arizona, I think.
Arizona, yeah. But so day 1 bike and day 2 bike are very similar to New Zealand roads, if not better than New Zealand roads. So for us, you know, when I was training and like Simon's trained in the last 6 months, you know, out in the weather and the road surfaces and all that. I mean, when you go over there,
Yeah, there were some nice smooth sections that they were still calling rough.
yeah.
And they were like, oh, there's this big 10k section with heaps of potholes and heaps of dangerous stuff on the road. There was like a couple of tiny potholes.
You like hold my beer and show them the road from the Coromandel.
Yeah. Well,
This narrow little track.
it's like arriving over there and it's 20 degrees and they're all in hoodies and beanies going, oh, it's cold. And we're like, well, I mean, I'm walking around in a singlet because we've come from good old New Zealand. Oh,
Especially this summer.
Oh, yeah. What summer? Yeah.
Where were you riding around? Around Woku, around down to Raglan and stuff?
Oh, no, I sort of stick to just the local areas. Like 10Ks from home is the Arkaka and Otaua Straits and Hills. And then if I venture out to sort of Patamahoe, Tuakau, Port Waikato, that sort of thing. Generally, those are the areas that I stick to. It's just, I mean, if you head closer to Auckland, it's just idiots on the road.
Yeah.
You know, and it's only getting worse. It's
And if you cross the motorway into Hanoi and stuff,
you can. Yeah, I do head out that way. Yep. Yeah, out to Clevedon. Mainly because there's a good bakery out there.
That's on your sort of routes as well, isn't it? Good pies and cokes.
Oh, there's always on those super long rides. You gotta stop.
Got to stop at the dairy.
Yeah.
Usually be 200 plus. That's all the.
Yeah.
Can't stop on the short ones.
I don't know. Yeah. get to a weird place. How long have you been doing it now, Reado?
The ultra stuff.
Yeah.
Or in general, 2006, I think it was, when I sort of started going from, a boozer, overweight fella to getting into a bit of running. So I think 2007 was I think I did Auckland half marathon.
Yeah.
So I was doing some running just to get fit and lose weight, and get back to some sort of level of fitness. And then I thought, what are you going to do with this running? You might as well do an event. And first half marathon, that I'd ever done.
Yeah.
So that was 2007, and then it just kicked on from there.
I think I was still in primary school then.
You were
2007.
Yeah.
Have you ever overdone it? Got overuse injuries and stuff like that?
Injuries?
Yeah.
Oh, last year was terrible.
Well, you that one.
Yeah.
You cooked yourself in the States.
I did. Correct. I went and trained in Boulder for 3 months with Cam Brown, Dylan McNeese, Callum Millwood, all those guys, and it was living the dream. It was epic. I was doing 35, 40-hour training weeks, and just...
Is that training at altitude?
At altitude, yep. It was great. The first week was horrendous because you're just breathing through a straw, but it certainly was just an epic place to train. But I cooked myself big time. Got back and I went over to Malaysia and raced Ironman Malaysia, and that was like racing on the sun, and I'd cooked myself and I just had a terrible day. So it was all good and well going to Boulder.
Still finished?
I did actually, because the year before I didn't finish it, so I was determined to finish, but it wasn't pretty. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome hearing guys like you and like Tim as well. He was telling me about how his run in the Ironman just was so stagnant for so long, and then 3 or 4 years in, all of a sudden he ran fast. He's like, I was just strong enough to do it. And I was like, oh, that's good to know. Good to know.
It definitely takes time.
Yeah,
it takes a lot longer than most think or are willing to commit for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said that to Dom Harvey, the newspaper article, wasn't it? It was like, that was 15... This has been 15 years of me training.
Yeah, it's not a 6-week build-up. It's been building for 10 years.
Yeah.
Have we had much longevity in this sport before? The sport's not that old as well, isn't it?
Well, you look at Cam Brown's probably the the one to look at.
Yeah.
But I think in the past, the older guys have done well because it takes long to learn the sport, learn the mental strength. It's probably becoming younger, but I would say that's just because people are starting younger.
Yeah.
There's still 10 years into the sport at 22 and doing well, but people think, he's so young, but he's been racing for 10 years. So it's still an athletic age, I think.
Yeah. Your training age. It's going to be interesting, in Southland being in swimming, how many swimmers were black line fever, stuff this, and went into triathlon. Tony Dodd's been the obvious one, but it's going to be interesting now that there's no junior swimming in swimming, that they're starting in age groups, how if the longevity of swimming kicks in and we start getting better swimmers in their 20s and what that does to triathlon.
Yeah, swimming's a young sport.
You still think it's a young sport?
Well, it is. I think you turn 18 and you're in the Masters, aren't you, in swimming?
No, but I think I only lasted till 15. I just could not steer at another black line again. Yeah.
But I think that happens a lot. The kids are so young and then they've been steering at that black line for years and years and years, and then it's just
needs a change.
And
I played water polo and I was
never
like,
go back
this is way better.
Yeah.
Before one heads out of the water, but you're playing with your mates. And then the same with athletics. We want runners and sprinters to be mid to late 20s, early 30s, but we're lucky to get 22-year-olds trying to compete and try to make it Olympics. I'm like,
and I think that's where I didn't start triathlon until I was 24.
Yeah.
So I think I went through school doing, every sport under the sun for a bit of variety. So I'm only, say, 15 years into the sport now, whereas if you'd started when you're 15, by the time you're 30, you're over it.
Mm-hmm.
And your body's worn out.
Yeah. You've got all these different overuse compensations.
Yeah, worn out joints and wear and tear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's it been like? Have you been able to vicariously live through Simon this last year?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I was down at the Blue Lake when he did the 24-hour and got the claw.
Yeah.
And so I was part of the crew, and and that was, I'd just come out of a knee brace actually, and so I managed to do one lap of the lake, and I walked. It took me an hour, but it was awesome to be down there and just sort of be back in amongst all the athletes and see Simon crush it. And I think I was at Taupo just watching a couple of my athletes race the Ironman, and Simon got third in the 70.3.
Mm-hmm.
So over the last 6 to 8 months, I've sort of been around most of the events Simon's done. Paced them obviously at the Tarawera 100 miler for the last 50.
Yeah.
And that was cool because I got to be out there with him, and to come through the redwoods with, what was it, 259
deficit
to fifth, and we were just like hauling ass for that. And what did we do? 28 minutes for the last 7k. I was in the box because of my run fitness wasn't there, and he was way in the box because he just put 155k in his legs, and
What did you just do? Just go fuck it or something?
Well,
we're coming down through the redwoods, and I knew we were going to get a time split from Anna. And I said to Carl, I was like, if it's under 3 minutes, I literally said, if it's under 3 minutes, we'll have a crack and see what happens. We got down through there, and it was literally like 2:58, and I was like,
but he had carried on, and I said I'd get because we just wanted to make sure he had a last little bit of coke and whatever at the aid station. So I said, you keep going, and I'll catch you. It took me a kilometre to catch him because he's running 4-minute Ks, and I'm like running 4. And next thing, like by the time I get to him, I'm just about done. And then we sort of get, was it 2 Ks from the finish, and we could see Scotty up ahead, and he turned around and saw us coming, so he started to pick up the pace, and I just said to Simon, right, jump behind me,
running
and
through long grass,
run, and I'm going, this is I was like a lead out man in a cycle race, leading your top sprinter out. But this is 16 hours into a race, and it was phenomenal. It was just so good, and we caught Scotty, and he tried to stick with us, and we were just we dropped. That's when we dropped the 3:47 kilometre, and with 400 meters to go, I just that was me. I said to Simon, "You go, man." I peeled off and started jogging in, and he and that's. What was it? 16:04, 5th place, and that was epic day. Yeah, it was. And we've talked about it. Everyone sort of asks, "Oh, what's harder, an Ironman or 100k run, whatever?" And it's like, to me, and I've got unfinished business at Tarawera because I've DNF'd there twice, but I have completed 1 miler, so thank God for that. But to me, a 100-mile run is. Yeah,
but I think what I've sort of come to the conclusion this week is it's not a 100-mile run that's hard, it's a 100-mile race. So there's plenty of people out there running it to finish.
Yes.
But when you're racing over these longer distances, that's when it gets pretty crazy.
Are we gonna start seeing like a pack of people going for the finish line?
Well, yeah, I think you see like in Western States and stuff, like those guys are going out and there's like 10 guys for the first 50Ks just, giving it death. And it's literally someone will drop off, and it's last man standing.
Well, if you look at the legend Jim Wormsley, he goes 14 hours at that one, doesn't he? And it's got a ridiculous amount of elevation in it. But if you look back at his career and go, he's actually DNF'd quite a few.
Because he's been pushing it.
Oh, just because he races it, and
that's the thing. You got to commit early in these events. Like Blue Lake 24-hour, I knew what I had to run, and it's like you got to start off pretty fast and commit.
Yeah,
and shit can hit the fan.
Yeah, and I'm the classic example of 2 years in a row at Tarawera. The second year I was leading by half an hour, 6K or whatever you want to call it. And I'm looking behind me, and where is it? He might be catching me. I better just keep hauling ass.
Yeah.
And but I was there to race, and it bit me in the ass big time. But that's I wouldn't change it, because that's how I do it, and that's how like Simon said in all these interviews in the last week. You're out there to give it a nudge, and sometimes it doesn't go to plan. But like Simon at Ultraman, 3 days of
when it does go to plan, it feels quite good.
Yeah, outstanding racing. I had written down on a piece of paper at home. I should have brought it down actually. What I thought he would do, and we talked about it on air and off air of sub 20 this, and no, it's not possible, and I said no, it's not possible. But in the back of my mind, I thought if there's anyone who was going to do it, it'd be Simon. And I wrote down 2030 was my.
I had 2050 as an ideal race.
In 50 minutes.
And 50 minutes.
Yeah, he's still under the world record by, the Ultraman world record of 21:21.
It'd be like rowing in the sort of world best.
Oh yeah, Peter Verbusic, he's gone 20:56, but it was on a pretty friendly course. But it's still it's still completed an Ultraman distance. I put down 20:30, and I thought, if he does that, that's 50 minutes under the world record. And then after day 2, when I calculated what was it, 6:17.
Yeah.
And I messaged Simon. I said, mate, just run a
30.
Just run, yeah. I said, run a 3:05, and you'll have, I reckon, just knowing him, the way he's trained, and the effort that he did at Tarawera in that last 50k. Like, we got to the Blue Lake in Tarawera 100 miler. We were 8 minutes down or something, and and he boosted up this hill. And again, I was struggling to catch him, and we just went through that nice gravel part, and we're just running 4:20s. We were just like, okay, what's going on here? And
having a great day.
And we were having a great day. And I just knew the back end of Ultraman run, he wouldn't drop off the pace that much. I mean, you're always going to,
We're thinking 3:05, 3:10.
Yeah. So why'd you go sub 3?
My GPS was playing up. Actually, I thought I was running to go 3:05. Like, I was going to try and go smart.
So what does your pacer have? Nothing.
Well, he didn't start till he started 4.8 Ks in. So we knew we're ticking off some good Ks.
There's some areas on the course you're sort of under the tree cover. When I did it, and Kira was pacing me. She's like, slow down a bit. And I'm like, nah, because it's 440s or whatever it is. And she's like, no, it's the tree, and so Simon, when I was following it obviously back here, and he went 2:58, and I was like, geez, and then
I just laughed when it was 2:58 actually, because I was just like,
who told you? The person in the cone?
Oh, they got the commentator out there and everything.
Hado or something he messaged me, Simon's just gone 2:58, and I went, yep. Yeah, I knew he'd be around 3:03, I thought, and then I just said it. I can't remember. I think my wife Paula at home. I said, Simon's just crushed the first marathon, and I said I didn't want to jinx him, but I thought to myself, he's got sub 20 in the bag, easy, But that, just knowing the back end of Simon's run strength, it's because it's not easy once you get through the
Mount Coolum hills.
You get over Coolum, and then you got a nice flat section, but then that last, is it about 17k?
Yeah.
You get back over the road and go on the
beach path.
On the beach path, and that's up and down. And I just remember every down was, the quads are just on fire. And so.
But having that 2:58 allowed me to ease up a little bit on the hills.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had some buffer, and just wanted to make sure I didn't, blow the legs right out.
I see, but you dropped off 8 minutes? But I mean, that's nothing. Yeah.
What would be injured for you, Simon?
Injured?
Yeah, like I can't run.
Well, I think I'm smart enough to not get to that point.
Yeah.
You know, everyone gets those niggles and tight areas, but I guess it's just learning what's an injury and what's just pain. Running.
Yeah.
And what's tight and keeping on top of things.
Yeah.
And,
so you both
and he's seen me have 2 surgeries last year. And
so are you cooked a bit biomechanically before those surgeries?
Yeah.
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 And are you all right?
Yeah.
Apart from your shoulder?
I mean, everyone's always got a weakest area that will, give out first, like, say, 6 hours into that day 2 bike, like my glutes and lower back and everything's aching. But if you ask anyone at that point, there's going to be something on your body that's given out first.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Have you been at Revenant or done Revenant?
No, but that's certainly... I've looked into it, yeah.
Because last year was really interesting. That no one made their third cutoff, and that comes back to after Ian's done it. There's kind of like, well, we've got to race this again, and like the real time pressure on those checkpoints each time around.
The young fella,
he was half an hour short of the.
Oh, was it half an hour short
of that third checkpoint? Yeah.
Which is the finish line, or is it?
No, he would have had another lap.
Oh, I thought he came really close.
Nah, he was really close to the last lap.
Yeah. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I need to learn to read a compass before I go and try
navigation,
that.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. I used to do orienteering at school as a kid, so might be alright.
Orienteering in the dark?
No.
Lack of sleep?
And just around the school.
It's like I see Tomato Peak and all the checkpoints that are through there, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not the same. I have a GPS in the bush, it'll get lost too low.
Yeah.
Fucking trying to read a compass, dear God. So that's obviously way different. What attracts you to that?
Yeah, just probably the mental challenge of that distance and something different, like like using compass and navigation and
another skill set,
something different. It's like I got a bit of a taste for I went up to Riverhead and did the relapse ultra, and I did it as part of the team with a group of guys with runners with beards, and it was heaps of fun. And I'd never been to that sort of event before and never done that format, and I'd only sort of told myself, around 10 laps would be quite good, 60-ish K, whereas like Sam Harvey, who won it, I mean, he did 33 laps, 221 K, and it was miserable. It was quite warm and humid, but the trails, by the time you got a whole lot of people going round and round, that was muddy as, and then they switched to the night course and stuff like that, and I got 9 laps done, 60k, and then I called it a day. But just sort of gave me a bit of a taste of something different, and different way of thinking about how to run 100k or 100 mile or whatever goal you want to set, because you got to run 6.7 on the hour, or so I was coming in I was coming in at a 46-minute average, I think I was averaging, which if I wanted to do 20 or 30 laps, I just wouldn't have been able to manage it. But so these guys, the top guys, they would come in around 52, have a couple of minutes sit down and refuel, and then get up and go again. Whereas when I was coming in at 45-ish, I'd sit down for 5 minutes and I'd struggle to. Well, the first few laps were okay, but then once you're sort of 7 and 8 laps, the more you sat down, I don't know. I suppose my old body took a while to get going again. But then in my mind, I was just like, knock out that pace again, Whereas I should have just gone, cruise, because you got an hour to do 6.7.
So trying to do beep tests when you.
Yeah. So I quite like that format and keen to give it another go. Yeah.
What's Blue Lake like? Don't stop.
Yeah, Blue Lake was cool. Same thing. Like I'd prepared well for that, and I was pretty committed to race it. Like I was going there to have a crack at the 200 or bust. So the same thing, like had to set off at a good clip, and just ticked it off. Yeah, it's even crazy when I think back to it.
Yeah, because we had a plan of, like, we knew what sort of lap time.
Yeah, it's about that 3 laps every 2 hours was sort of the 40 odd minute laps. But I think
does it become boring or no?
No. Same thing, like those races, you're just in the zone. Yeah, like it's a 6k lap, did it 34 times, never got bored.
So you're computing while you're running, and that's what's distracting you?
The bonus there was the paces and the crew. Like, we got to see everyone every 6k, get some fresh food, drink, and then lots of people jumped in for a lap. Like, Dad ended up running 70k's over the 24 hours. Larissa did marathon, and everyone else, pretty much everyone came in for the last couple of laps.
Yeah.
As the sun was coming up, and that was pretty special.
Do we have anyone in New Zealand that does flat track hundreds and stuff like that?
Oh, there's a crazy bunch that do the 24-hour track running.
That was on not long ago, I think.
Is that at Trusts? At Trust Stadium?
So this year it's going to be the day before the Blue Lake 24-hour, which is a shame. It's on the Saturday. It's on the Friday night, I think it starts. So obviously you can't do both. Well, maybe. That does sort of interest me. But I think you'd have to do a more specific prep for that. Like, that's a lot of time on the track, getting used to going round.
Yeah.
Just a bit more wear and tear on the body going around that same. I mean, you still turn direction every 4 hours, but it's pretty monotonous.
You're not running on the inside lane though, are you? Or are you? Okay.
Maybe lane 2.
Yeah.
I think some events they'll have like the 12 hours running on one lane, and then they'll work it out that way.
Yeah, I've interviewed Zach Bitter. He's nuts. He's done it on a treadmill as well.
Yeah, treadmill doesn't really.
Did it in COVID, like 13 hours or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was it?
I think 100 miler or 100k got broken last week.
Yeah, what's his name? Is it Alexander or something?
Yeah.
Is he from Lithuania?
I think so.
Yeah.
The average 339 per k. 6:05, I think. 6 hours 5.
And what about like Mount Blanc, running up a mountain?
Yeah, well, I qualified for that this year.
Yeah.
Probably not going to fit into my schedule. Yeah. I mean, that will be on the cards one day, but that's pretty appealing as well. Like, that's 170 k's with 10,000 meters of elevation. Yeah. But you've got extreme weather, and you're in the mountains, like the real mountains.
I followed it. I watched a bit of it, and Jim Walmsley was racing. He was leading for ages, and then you're following the tracker, and then next thing you know, he's third. And the two guys who passed him, I mean, they were neck and neck right up to, I can't remember, 10k to go or something. But it was awesome to watch. Yeah, but the coverage was really good. They just showed them way up in the mountains, like not just a hill. These Are
they chasing them with drones, or just got locations, or
a bit of both, I think. Yeah. And guys on mountain bikes and following them around. Yeah, it was quite good coverage. Yeah. But you got to do a qualifier, don't you, to try to get there.
Yeah, so Tarawera got me, like Scotty's going.
That's right.
Yeah, he accepted his spot. The guy who he just out sprinted. So I think me, him, and one other guy were on the list to, you can accept your spot.
So what's that network of races called? UTM or something?
UTMB.
UTMB.
So Ultramen Blanc, which is the big finale.
So Tarawera is a qualifier for it.
Yep.
Yeah. And what are they doing in the States for that?
Oh, there's a bunch. There's a whole series.
Yeah.
With different tier races and that sort of thing.
In some of those races in the States, you have to do 2 or 3 qualifiers to get into some of the big races over there. Like
qualify
for the qualifiers.
Western States is probably like the hardest race to get into, because they only take 360 runners each year, and they'll have like
Is that the one you went into a lottery?
Yeah.
For
So they'll have like 15,000 people apply, and then each year you get like your entries double. So like if you qualify again, you'll get 2 entries, and then 4, and then 8, and then there's a few Kiwis that are on like 120 entries and still missing out. Like Andrew McDowell, I think, was on
7 years or 8 years he's done. Gone into the lottery, 8 years in a row and missed out. So and what's the other one? What's the one that goes through Death Valley? Is that
Badwater.
Badwater? Yeah. And but you have to qualify for that one as well, I think.
Yeah, and I think they only take like 50 or so athletes for that, because it is pretty extreme.
Your shoes melt to the tarmac or something. Yeah.
Speaking of shoes, what do we like here in New Zealand? Is New Zealand thought of as just part of Australia? Like most brands you look up on Instagram and stuff is like Australia/New Zealand. Like like you got a world record. You had a world record. Like what's it like? Like g'day.
Pretty much, yeah. New Zealand's just part of bottom end of Australia, isn't it? Or something? Yeah.
Well, like, even with Drink Element, they've decided, no, we're not going to ship internationally. Fair enough, because logistics in the world are all different. And then it's like you look at a US market and it's like 360 million people, and you go, well, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, like, people in this country love the outdoors and love pushing themselves, and you just got to look at the week of Topo Ironman and what goes on in town. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'm sure, or Hawke's Bay Marathon, that's again, that whole week is pretty impressive. I'm sure Queenstown's the same. So
there's so many events in New Zealand that are gaining momentum and pretty popular.
Yeah.
Like even the Auckland
the series now,
run series, the Exterior. I was chatting to Bryce at Total Sport, and he's just like, like within days, the first one, Hunua sold out the other day, and the one before that had sold out, and he just said, they have 1,000 spots, and just gone. So and a few years ago that wasn't happening. So everyone's just keen to.
And I think the longer running is taking off. Like, if you look at Tarawera 100 miles, like when you think there was 400 people entered in 100 miles, like that blows your mind. Like almost 1,000 in the 100k. Like that's
and the 50k they had to do it in 4 waves.
Yeah,
because there was 2,000 runners. So
I feel quite lucky that there was about 30 of us on my 50k. It was a race for the Portaloo because we had to bus there, but that was about it.
But the sport's growing. Like it's just so appealing because New Zealand's perfect for the training.
I was about to say, just put your shoes on, get out and bloody do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like when we did the 30k the other week, it was along the Waikato River Trail, like you suggested, and it was awesome. Like.
That's a great spot.
Didn't even think about it until we got back to the car park and we're like, oh fuck, we need 5 more Ks. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird that I just did that.
Yeah. Simon and I did a lot of training down there last year, or no,
before COVID.
Was it before COVID? Yeah,
I think so. Oh no, it must have been after. Yeah,
before when I went over to Brisbane. And raced that. We were down on the Waikato River Trails like every weekend basically. Yeah. For a 5 or a 6 hour run,
and that's pretty achievable for you to drive down, especially now the motorway's open. Come down the motorway.
Well, the motorway wasn't open, but easy for me. I'd come down on a Friday afternoon and stay here at Simon's, and we'd be up at 5, and we'd be running by 6.
Yeah,
and
finish at lunch.
Yeah, and just go out, and then. We always talk about there was a run in Pauanui we did a couple of summers ago, and we just buried ourselves. Like, I don't know what we were doing. 65k, averaging 5-minute Ks. Like, just why are we doing this? And we were about 4Ks from your folks' batch, and we were like out of fluid. Stopped at some house and used the tap, and then we're sitting on the deck, and we're just like, man, we were smashed. And it's like, why do we, just go out. We should be going out and doing these runs and enjoying them and not worrying about how fast or, whatever. And so then after that, when we were down on the Waikato River Trails, we were just cruising along, and we still did 56k in 5 hours. Something like that. So we weren't slow, but it was a lot more enjoyable. And we both said like the next day, I'd back it up with a 2-hour run the next day and feel a lot better. So
learn the hard way.
Learn the hard way, and take on advice that people give you. Good friend of mine, Alan, over in Australia, said to me, well, we know you can run 50k in this time, so why not, when you go out with Simon or whoever, go and enjoy yourself, because save all that sort of hard stuff for race day. Live and learn.
So you guys going by feel or?
I'm on a heart rate monitor in 15 years.
Neither have I.
Are you keen to test it? Like find out, like you guys were saying about Tarawera, the type of energy system you must have been in. A physiologist would look at that and go, what the fuck?
But that last 5k, if I'm looking at my heart rate and it's super high, is that going to help your mental state?
No.
Or super low because you're tired and you're fatigued and you got to catch Scotty. I mean, if Simon said, "Oh, my heart rate's maxing out, we need to slow down," well, there goes your 5th place, man. All right, suck it up, and a lot of our training, off feel and perceived effort and all that sort of thing.
Especially on the run, the heart rate on the watches and that sort of thing's not really accurate enough unless you're wearing the strap. But then
that'd be some good chafing.
Well, that's why I don't like wearing the chest strap, especially if you're running for 16 hours, you've got enough chafing issues without another strap around your chest.
So how do you prepare for those big efforts then? Do you still have to do some of those hurt box, bury yourself runs, or?
Oh, there's key sessions, definitely. Like the Ultraman build up, I knew what I was going to need to run to beat Carl's run record. So we were aiming to
not just beat it, just
aiming to
decimated it.
Dip under that 6:29. And it's around that 4:30 per k. So you just got to turn that into your all day pace.
Yep.
And that's what we talked about. I said to Simon, we looked at my time for the 6:29 and what I averaged and all that sort of thing, and then we just said, you only got to drop it 5 to 8 seconds, which does sound a lot per kilometre, but if you can sit at that on your long, you did that 60k run, after the 300k bike, and Simon sat at that number, and it's just like, well, that.
Yeah, that session gave me a lot of confidence. So I went out and actually Tim came out on the mountain bike with some drinks and whatnot, and the morning after that 300k ride, got up and wanted to do 50k's at 4:30s and then pick it up for 10k. So managed that. Ended up doing the last 10k sort of between 4 and 4:05 per k. And
so what was the purpose of that?
Back end strength, to prove that first 50k's was done comfortably enough that you could pick it up. So if you got to 50k's and you can't pick it up or you're toast, then you've definitely run that first 50k's too hard. So that's what I give a lot of my athletes, is like a strong finish, because if you're running, say it's a 3-hour run and you go 2 hours easy, half an hour hard, half an hour easy to finish or something, and if they can't pick it up for that half an hour, the first 2 hours isn't easy enough, or you haven't fueled enough. So that's a good way of finding out whether your easy aerobic pace is your easy aerobic pace.
And a good, how we judge it is in that first, at the Waikato River Trails, we start at the car park and we go back 5k, and we sort of do an out 5k and back to the car. And if we're not talking, or when then we're with that first 10k,
so it's on that road, the roadside.
That gravel.
So we just go out and back there just to get the legs warmed up, but talk, and we're like, because you don't want to get back to the car and be like,
we've got 23, you got 4.
We've got another 40k to go. We'd just run 10k at 4:30 pace, or something like that, which we know we can do. But
quite often we get back to the car and do that section at the end again, and that's when usually it'd be midday sun, but we could still finish that last 10Ks quicker than we'd done the whole
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of, and I know I've done it as well, go out and that for a long run, and that back end, you got nothing, and you're like, well, why did I run the first hour and run 13K in the first hour when now I've got nothing left? And so when I did Ultraman in 2018 and 2019, I knew that I could get down to Twin Waters roughly around that 3:10. It was, how am I going to tackle coming back, and especially the last 21, that last 21 of the 84, and it was just like, if you can sit comfortably and then pick it up and try to finish strong, even though it's been a massive 3 days, you're not going to blow to pieces.
So how do you deal with the confidence if it hasn't gone well? Like, how do you what's back to the drawing board look like? Like, say for some of your athletes, they've got this time in mind for their run, and they go out and do a piece and it doesn't quite work out. How do you go back to the drawing board?
Well, it's usually just reassessing. You obviously got the pacing wrong. The preparation might just need to be a little bit longer, so you're actually building up to prove in the long sessions that you can do it before race day. And a lot of times just dialing in the nutrition, like that's what I think I've worked on the most probably in this build up, is the specific nutrition, getting a lot of calories and carbs in.
How much were you taking on board in that bike?
120 grams an hour.
Yeah.
For 7.5 hours. Which is
bang on. That's so good.
And that not only helped with that ride, but set me up well for the run the third day.
So what's that worked out on? Like, your should be calorie expenditure? Like,
no, you're pretty much trying to get in as much as you can before it upsets your stomach. You're trying to get the most out of your body, so you want to put as much in literally as you can before it's going to be upsetting. Like some people that will be 50 grams because they haven't trained that. So it's showing in training in the specific weekends where you're trying to almost push the limits, where you're either feeling sick or it'll turn to shit literally. So you can dial it back and work out what level you're at, so then on the race day you're confident to nail that.
And I was talking to one of my athletes a few days ago, don't just pick up a gel on race day and go, I think that'll
suffice.
That'll get me through it.
Yeah.
You got to do it in the weeks leading up to it, the months leading up to it, and just part of you. And I mean, I'm a shocker. Many years ago it would be, I wouldn't even think about, I've got to fuel up today because I've got a big day tomorrow, or practice, what I'm going to do on race day. And then we've, both Simon and I, we went through couple of years of just working things out in terms of nutrition. How do we, especially in the ultra running, because we're both new to it, and it's like, well, how do you fuel? Like, it's a bit different doing Ironman because on the bike you can stomach some solid stuff. And I was doing some prep for the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail 100 miler I did, and I'm running along out the backs of Waiuku trying to run it.
Chew down bars.
I'm trying to run 5 minute K pace, trying to chew down a cliff bar. And I'm running along the straight and I'm just like choking and then just coughing it all up. And then and I'll never forget it. Paul and my wife goes, okay, I said, I'm going out for a 4-hour run. I'm going to test. I think I wanted 90 grams of carbs per hour. And I did it all in, shot blocks, bars, all that. And I just had this pile of food. And she said, I'll bet you $20 that when you come back, you'll have 3/4 of that left. You won't have touched, and sure enough, she was bang on. And I did a 4-hour run, got back, I was dehydrated, depleted, and feeling like crap. I ran okay, but we talked about it a lot.
Over the river trails, when we did those long sessions, we pretty much just slowly weaned off solids, and then we're pretty much, first day I remember we went out we left all the solids in the car, and we were like, shit, we're pretty committed, just liquids.
This could go,
and it was probably one of the best runs we'd had, and that was that converted both of us.
So you're using Tailwind, eh?
Yep.
Yeah. So what's in Tailwind?
Well, everything you need. It's got sugar, it's got electrolytes, it's got
sodium.
salts. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And plenty of calories. And it's just so easy to mix up. So it's like, you know, if you're wanting 50 grams an hour, it's a couple of scoops. If you're wanting 75, it's 3. If you're wanting whatever. So like on the bike, I'll chuck like 6 or 8 scoops in a bottle.
Yeah.
And you're just sipping away on that, and you know what you got to get through, and then you can just top up whatever liquids you need with some water.
I think we went out one of the runs, and I think I was trialing out the whole liquid, and Simon was like, you can believe it, I think after 4 hours I hadn't touched any solid stuff, and I went through these 200ml flasks and concentrated as, but I had electrolytes and other stuff to mix in with it, and every 20 minutes my watch would beep, and I'm like, right, a third of that, that one's gone, get the other one out. 4 hours later, I was still running strong, and someone's like, "Are you all right?" Sort of thing. And it was, and we just sort of kept. We thought, well, this is going to work, but you just got to keep practicing it, and next thing you know, we do 6-hour runs with. I mean, you want a gel or a little bit of like a 1 square meal or something solid. If we quite often stop after 3 hours and have a sit, and and then you have a bit of solid stuff. But when you're running along at the pace you want to run, for me and Simon, it's just like very hard to chow down a Cliff Bar at that sort of thing.
Yeah, I had a Musashi 20 gram protein bar. It was quite nice, but I was definitely not moving.